Hello, everybody. It's Christina Fasonic coming to you live from Wheeling, West Virginia, like always. And maybe at some future date, I'll be able to come at you live from somewhere else. But for right now, I'm still in Wheeling, enjoying the sunshine. If you hear in the background Marco Polo, there's a bunch of kids in a pool about 3 houses down from me that are playing. And I don't think that's such a bad thing. So I'm going to bring my co host on. Hey, Damien.
Hello, Christina. How are you tonight in Wheeling, West Virginia?
Oh, I am good. Did you get outside today?
Briefly.
Oh, well, at least that's better than nothing. It was kind of hot. So we have a writer tonight, and people cannot wait, according to Paula, to jump in and to listen to our writer. So do you want to tell us a little bit about her?
I am super excited to have tonight's writer. We kind of got introduced via electronic means by Crystal Wilkinson, and I went. Everybody loves her. I took a look at this wonderful novel, which I seem to be so stupid as to not be able to. Anyway, it's called Saint Monkey. It is a wonderful novel. It has this terrific narrator, among other narrators, named Audrey. And so tonight we are bringing you the author of this novel. This is Jacinda Townsend. She's the author of Saint Monkey from Norton in 2014, and the author of Kif, which is forthcoming from Graywolf Press in 2022. Saint Monkey is set in 1950s Eastern Kentucky. It won the James Heidinger Kafka Prize and the James Fenimore Cooper Prize for historical fiction. Saint Monkey was also the 2015 honor book of the Black Caucus of the American Library Association. She is a lot. We've had a lot of writers on here, and Jacinda is one who is just profound. Her linguistic dexterity is breathtaking. I'm super excited to have her on tonight, and I'm grateful that she's able to do this.
Fantastic. All right. I'm going to pop out, and you can pop out, and we'll bring her on.
All right.
Hello, Christina and Damien and everyone else. I'm like, who is this woman that you guys are saying such nice things about? Like, is she here? But thank you. And thank you so much for having me. And thank you for doing this. It's just so nice to connect through art. You know, it's been really nice during quarantine to have people connecting like this. So I appreciate it. I'm going to read a passage actually from the novel that's sort of in progress now. And the only background to this passage is that it's told from the point of view of Ruth, who has just lost her little brother to a mysterious childhood illness. Absolutely not, Ruth's mother said without conviction. No one else stood at the top of the stairs where she and Ruth had met accidentally on their way between floors, but she wasn't talking to Ruth. She was just saying it, as she did on order of 30 times a week now that Russell was dead. Absolutely not, she'd say, in response to nothing, as she was folding laundry or stacking china or scrubbing a clod of tomato paste out of the sink. The first few times she said it, she caught herself and blinked, and Ruth could tell that she'd been taken aback by the machinations of her own mind. She hadn't meant to issue the two words audibly. But Cora soon lost shame. She started saying it seemingly at random, producing the phrase from some secret, outraged vein of thought. Absolutely not, she said one morning at dawn in the kitchen where Ruth had crept up behind her as she was loading the coffee maker. When Cora heard her daughter, she turned around, and her posture seemed confrontational, as though she were hiding something. But when Ruth got closer and looked, it was just the percolating machine on the counter she was talking to. Cora turned back around to it. Absolutely not, she whispered to the coffee, and Ruth forgot what she needed from the fridge and went back to bed. When her mother said it in response to an actual question, after Wendy asked if she could have a brand new stereo system for Christmas, Ruth started crying. Absolutely not, Cora said then, in response to Ruth's tears, and Ruth bolted upstairs to her bedroom. She no longer shared her room with her brother Russell, but she shared it with the aftermath of Russell, since neither her parents nor Wendy would box up his swim participation trophies or toss out the lopsided clay masks he'd made in the 3rd grade, his 4th and final year of formal schooling. No one had even changed his bed sheets. They'd lain hastily rolled to one side for the 3 days after his death, until finally, the morning of his funeral, her mother had come into the room and made his bed up to hotel standards. When Ruth came home from the funeral and tossed a quarter at the sheets, it actually bounced once before landing. It took a week for Ruth to grow tired of seeing the stiff bed, so empty of her brother, and she sat on it then hard, hoping to leave an impression of her own living, breathing bottom. She lay on his pillow and rolled onto her face. He had left rumpling, dimpling. During the cold, sleety month of April, she began to reassemble his things into piles. Plastic cowboy collection in the northeast corner of the room, Spider-Man comic books in the southwest corner, near the head of her own bed. The room wasn't Russell's anymore, but it was no longer hers either. Now that he was dead, it was just a room. 4 walls, a floor, a ceiling, and an exactly square window hurtling with her around the center of the planet through different points of time. Since no one but her entered the room now, she'd been left as some sort of gatekeeper, contemplating the limitations of the human references the room still contained. The things left in the room weren't shrined to her dead brother so much as they were now shrined to impossibility and the failed hope for all the things Russell had so rarely touched when he was alive. She felt irreparably vicious, scooting aside his Lego cabin with the edge of her bare foot, but she persisted in pushing it to the wall, even as it fell in half and then crumbled into chunks of joining plastic bricks. She went through all his old socks and found the ones with holes and discarded them in the outside trash bin where her parents wouldn't find them. She arranged the clothes hanging in Russell's closet, first by color and then by size within the color. And then, if she couldn't remember having seen Russell wearing them in the year before his death, she ripped them beyond the possibility of wearing and tossed them on a growing pile in the southwest corner of the room. Over time, she discarded and rearranged his effects until she'd assembled several assorted piles of Russell, which someone came and cleared one day while she was at school. She opened the door to find it all gone, and she gasped audibly. The mess itself had become as a living, breathing human, so that when it was gone, she missed it. She came home 2 days later to find Russell's bed and nightstand similarly disappeared. She didn't dare ask what had happened. She wouldn't have called herself relieved. She hadn't wanted to clear her brother from her life. She'd simply wanted to proceed with her own. Her parents were still paying hospital bills for a dead child, and the financial difficulties showed up incrementally. Her mother's absolutely not when Ruth asked if they were going on a vacation that summer. Her father's uncharacteristic purchase of a lottery ticket, which she found hidden in his office drawer when she went looking for a sharpened pencil. It took 6 months for Cora to tell them that eating off paper plates might be cheaper than running the dishwasher, and another 4 for her to run out of money at the supermarket. Ruth had been helping unload provisions from the cart when she noticed the man behind them who had joined the line after they started unloading. He seemed to be appraising her, and she felt embarrassed to be unloading such an intimate item of Safeway brand toilet paper. When he looked away to the row of tabloids, Ruth inspected his face, then felt her own cheeks hardening with the recognition. It was Ralph O'Brien, their next-door neighbor, a police officer who she often saw coming home for lunch in his blue and white lettered City of Rosalind squad car. When they first moved into the neighborhood, Mr. O'Brien had yelled at her and Wendy. Not at them so much as at the place where they were standing on the sidewalk, because the sun was blazing high noon over all their heads such that no one could see anyone else's face, just hollows where should have been eyes, and the dappled light at the top of all their respective hairlines. "What are you girls doing here?" he'd said from his place in his own yard. He'd been wearing a cowboy hat while weeding, and to look at him, they'd had to turn directly into the retinal eclipse of sun. Instead of a face, she saw nothing, just the space of shadow under his hat. "We live here," Wendy had said. Ruth could only gawk at the faceless man. "You live where?" Mr. O'Brien had said, and they'd pointed to their own yard, their own new house, its new coat of paint, the new shutters flanking the clean new windows. Mr. O'Brien considered the house silently, as if seeing it for the first time. He looked to its roof and frowned, furrowing his brow as if he'd seen there something giant and monstrous, but he did not respond. He returned to his weeding. There in the supermarket, he took a few steps back to scan the other checkouts for a shorter wait time, but seeing nothing, remained in line behind Ruth and her mother. As Ruth removed the 28 ounces of canned peas, which, in the new family economy, replaced the 16 ounces of frozen, he shifted impatiently from his heels to his toes, from foot to foot, making a beefy man's ballet. Ruth tried not to glare. Mr. O'Brien seemed to know nothing about the patience that grief demanded of people. Thank you.
That was outstanding. Thank you so much.
Yeah, what happens next? I'm dying to know what happens next. I really love that line that she wasn't trying to get rid of her brother, but she was trying to like move on with her life.
Yes. Yeah.
And so resonant, I think, of what grief is like.
Yes. Yeah, the whole novel is kind of about the grieving process and how people always do the wrong thing with grief.
Yeah.
Which I think so many of us know so much about. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really wonderful and painted a really clear picture of who these people are and sort of what, I mean, I could just see this bed, this, unmade bed, and what that feels like when, after you lose someone, to see sort of their existence, but they don't exist anymore. Yeah. So very powerful.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, it was amazing. We had our readers, one of our readers, Jared, noted too the patience that grief demands. Oh, that was just such a wonderful thing. And that also the aftermath of Russell. And that's one of the things I love about your work. There are these things that a writer not so gifted would title stories, and with you, they're just one little amethyst in this ocean of linguistic gems. It's just so there's never a sour note. You're just so on. I love your work.
Thank you, Damien. Likewise. Thank you.
Absolutely awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you, so much.
Take care.
Have a great evening.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody. Oh, we're coming. Wait, who are we coming back with? Who do we have next?
Wait, I have the document open.
Is the document open? I think it's Sherry Flick.
Yes, it's Sherry Flick on June 11th, and then Jason Irwin
on the 15th.
On the 15th, yes.
All right. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We're going to sign off from Prospect and from
Wheeling, West Virginia.
All right.
The best Virginia. No, I didn't say that. Have a good evening, everybody.
Have a great night, y'all.